Hello, welcome to Writing Successful Grants. My name is Joan O'Brien, Program Officer, Southwest Sport. The webinar session is about writing successful grants and is being brought to you by Southwest Sport. With our Successful Grants workshop, we have created a template. I'm more than happy for you to actually go to our webpage, pause the button and download the template. The template is actually Writing Successful Grants and it will help you. It's a one-off grant application template. Now today you'll learn in regards to the learning objective to assist grant writers to better understand how to put a successful grant application together. The outcome of the workshop will be understanding grant writing processes, considering your value proposition, identifying your risks, and key online grant portals. What project are you considering? So before we start, you need to become familiar with the grant writing process by have a think about a project or a resource your club needs additional funding for. Also, what will be your project title? What is your project needed? Who will benefit from your project? How will your funding benefit the club? Where will the funding improve participation of your club? List community partners and relevant organisations for your project. Identify any possible partnerships for your club. Consider creating a project group within your clubs. Where can you seek support from within your club? Has any specific skills within your club that will be of benefit to the project? Also collect letters of support for your project. Who is your club targeting? What does your club do differently? What is your uniqueness of your club? Reading other grant proposals. Engage prior to the project plan with the manager and or officer of your local government if they're the owners of your facility, i.e. your grounds or your club rooms, to keep them involved from the start. Talk to other clubs who have also applied for the same organisation. Align your applications according to the criteria of the grant, impact and its interests. We move on to gaining access to supporting data evidence. So sources of data can be sought from a range of places. If you haven't already, it's worthwhile looking at collecting data from your state sporting association, commonly known as an SSA. Also your local government demographic breakdowns, they often have the reports, so make yourself familiar with the recreation officer teams and they may be able to assist you in that. You can go online to Sports Oz at www.sportsoz.gov.au, or you can also look at social economic indexes for areas, CIFA, and then it's actually at www.abs.gov.au and then Google CIFA and your information will come up. Vic Health is another one to keep an eye out, www.vichealth.gov.au, and also you can actually look at Australian Bureau of Stats, abs.gov.au. As we move on, and hopefully by now you've downloaded your form, and it will be things that we need to look at regarding identifying your club's value proposition. So what makes a potential member choose your club over another club? Does your club want more potential members to choose your club over your competition? So understanding is often the base of perspective. You know your club offers members unique, valuable and special services or products because you're on the inside. The question you need to ask yourself, do potential members know who I am? If the answer is no, don't worry. That's why we need to have a value proposition for our clubs. They help us achieve clarity around our brand, enabling us to craft messages that can speak to potential members in the language that makes sense to them. So hopefully I have covered that, but a few short words are, in general, a value proposition, a statement of how your program or service will benefit your members. It clearly defines you for what you will do for your members and why your club is a better choice to participate than other activities or clubs. To assist with grant applications, a truly great value proposition is a statement that pairs a clear picture of what your club has to offer and community for your prospective funders. A value proposition involves the following. What are the services? Offer the features intended to make the club more attractive to the grant holders. Who are we targeting? What distinguishes you from other clubs or associations? What's your uniqueness? I've put on the actual here a template. So your target for you, target participant, who, the statement of need or opportunity, how, program services name, is the product category, the statement of benefit. As you can see from my next slide, the value proposition example from Bowls Victoria, Bowls, they offer a unique proposition to its participants due to being a sport with few boundaries where it comes to participation. It's a low impact and a non-contact sport suitable for varying levels of physical activities and cultures, and it's a game that can be enjoyed at any stage in life, both socially or competitive in a range of environments. So in that value proposition, you can see where they've pointed out the who, what, when and why they are and why they're important. By now, hopefully you've downloaded your once-off grant application. So I can go into, and if you're looking at it now, there's some things to think about before submitting your application. You don't need to complete these now, but it's a standard that normally will be discussed on an application: your organisation contact details, your principal representatives, your club's project details, your title. So when we work through the actual form and the template that you have, we can get down, when we go down so far, you'll see where the value proposition is. So you should have the example of the Bowls Victoria. And in regards to start thinking, have a think about your club. What does your club currently offer that benefits the community? Who is your club targeting? And what does your club do differently and what's unique? Have a go at writing your value proposition statement for your clubs. And then we'll get on to your project plan in a minute. So what you need to do is understand the funder's goals and think about how your project will align with their objectives and their criteria. So we've actually downloaded a live grant, and it's the Emergency Sport Recreation Equipment, and it's still open. The status is open and it closes on the 30th of June. So if you have an example, this grant provides assistance to grassroots sports and active recreation clubs and organisations to replace essential sporting to the first aid equipment that has lost or been destroyed as a consequence of fire, flood, significant storm event or threat or damage. The eligibility criteria. So that's the main thing you probably need to look at. Applications can be submitted by locally sport and activity recreation clubs. Firstly, as you're actually going through, are you a non-government and non-for-profit? Is your club registered as an incorporated body? If your club or organisation is not incorporated, it must arrange a legally constituted organisation to manage their funds. Participate in an organised competition in a sport recognised by Sport Australia and/or Sport and Recreation Victoria. You also do need to adhere to and enforce the Fair Play Code or their relevant state sporting association code, conduct member protection policy which incorporates the Fair Play Code, comply with the expectations of Victorian anti-doping policy, and have satisfactory met reporting requirements of any goals received from Sport Rec Victoria. So looking at that live grant and actually looking at the eligibility criteria, Southwest Sport can work through some of those things. You go, oh, I haven't looked at my Fair Play Code. Oh, okay, I don't know what a member protection is. That's what we're here for. So the key questions that you ask in regards to the what, the why, the who, the how, and the where. So what we're looking at is what is the funding for? So you think to yourself, what do I need that funding for? Why? Why is the funding needed? Who will it benefit the most? How will the funding benefit the club? And where will the project take place? So when you're actually having a think of your what, your why, your who, your how, and where, on your template, we have sections there that if you actually have a look and you can start having a think, you might want to jot down, and then that way you can actually have a look at it later. I'll go through a few ideas of the what. The what, what's the funding for? What are the current limitations of the community? What benefits are to be achieved? What do you know about the target areas and the demographic group? What part of the application can support by partnering with another club? What community partners are relevant organisations for your project? The why. The why is the funding needed? Why is a one-off project, or do I really need ongoing funding? Why are these special skills or resources needed? Why is it important in the context of the area? Why specialist skills may be needed and those skills available during the expected project timeframe. Then we get to the who. Who will benefit the most? Who will be the key drivers? You need to start thinking of a club of the who. Who is the project for and who are the beneficiaries, i.e. your target groups? Who are the major stakeholders, partners, and what is their capacity to help the project? Who else is doing something similar in your community, even elsewhere? You might have a club that you can phone up and they may be able to give you some pointers. Who will manage the project? That's within your club. It doesn't always have to be the president, the secretary, the treasurer. You can have a grant group. Who has the right skills and experience and what happens when they are no longer around? Who can you seek support from within your club? We get down to the how. The how will the funding benefit my club? Start thinking of how will the project start and finish? Do you have a time frame? It's great having an idea, but do you have a time frame? How long will the project take to complete? For how long should it be staged? How will it be implemented and operated? Example, steering group, management instructions, internal or external. Sometimes we've got an idea, but we forget about the who, what, where, how. How will you ensure accountability for the project? Define your roles and responsibilities. How will you know when you've achieved what you set out to do? And how will you measure the outcomes of the projects? We get to the last one, the where. So on your document, hopefully they maybe have given you some ideas, so the where the project will take place. Where will the project be located? Local municipality, town, site, be reasonably exact. They need to know where. Where will the project outcomes extend? Will it extend statewide, regionally, or remain just within your municipality or local area or community? What information can you find to justify that your project meets the local needs, council, committee, documents, records? Where is there evidence of your club and community support? And where there are seasonal issues with your project, that might be a big thing. We move on to the common reasons why a grant application will fail. Most of the time we sit back, we don't read the application, we don't research our application, and we don't stay focused. So our common reason why grant applications fail. Generally, many grant applications fall over for not meeting the guidelines or the criteria. Generally, grant guidelines will have a checklist that you go back over to ensure that you have ticked off all the information that you need to provide. Some general areas that often need to be covered include eligibility criteria. Does your project meet that criteria? Did you need to be incorporated or auspiced? Did you go and get a quote including GST? Did you get 3 quotes including GST? Did you forget to put your project plan in there? And as we spoke about, did you include the what, why, who, how, and where? Whether the club has been funded in the past for the 2 years, have you got ineligible items that you've put in there that doesn't meet the criteria? Not meeting the application timeframes and the deadlines. You didn't attach those letters of support you went and got. Finally, the big one is you didn't read over your application. And do you own the premises or ground that you're applying for your grant? Sometimes when you actually, and then if you're quoting in regards to your quotes, we don't often actually value our volunteers' hours. So getting a quote for goods and services, but we also forget in regards to our in-kind. So what's the value of our volunteer? So the value of a volunteer sometimes is around $25 per hour. And so how do you calculate your community service hours? You multiply the number of volunteer hours by the average hourly wage for a house worker on a local or national statistic. Calculate how much it would cost to hire a paid employee to do the volunteer task. Calculate how much the volunteer would be paid at his or her regular job for the number of hours contributed. These activities must be a minimum of 40 hours unpaid services. But that's just, don't forget, in regards to getting a quote and putting a quote also by your volunteers and your volunteer hours that are unpaid. Now the project plan. So still having your document and then having a look with the how process, the need, the who, the cost, the where, the when, and your risks. So on your document, we've submitted a template of a project plan to help guide you. So when you actually look at, and I spoke about the cost, so how much would the project cost? How much funding is needed? Have you thought of everything? Have you remembered to look at insurance, auditing, and on costs for wages? Are your costs realistic? Too high? Too low? Do you have a contingency plan? Where do you need the money? Do you need a lump sum payment, or could the payments be spread over time? Does the project represent good value for the grant provider? Sometimes we forget, how will funds be managed? Club contribution to projects in dollars, project club contribution in project in kind, and that's in regards to the volunteer hours. We forget to put them down. Number of a volunteer, skilled or unskilled labour hire. Now we're actually looking at the risks. So in this slide, and you've got a template on your document that you've downloaded, and it's actually in regards to how do I actually work out the risks for my project plan. So sometimes we ask, has your club undertaken a SWOT analysis in regards to your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats? With this that was on the screen, we've actually got the risk. The risk is the knowledge and the change of committee members. So the probability is more than a 2. Your impact is probably a 2. So your project rating would be a 4. So as you can see down the bottom, the key is high is 3, medium is 2, low is 1. The risk formula that you work it out is your probability rating times your impact rating will give you your project rating. So with that, with your knowledge lost of change of committee members, so the action will be clear project and plans and updates. Another one will be overspending. That definitely is a 2. How will that impact? That's a high risk impact. So that'd be your project would be a 10. So that'll give you a tight financial control and reports presented to your committee. So that would have to be your action to make sure that that wasn't going to happen. Increase your awareness of available grants. So the one thing you can do, if you say, well, I don't know where grants are, you need to increase your awareness. You say, where can I find available grants? I have a range on the screen here. Southwest Sport, under southwestsport.com.au, you definitely can look for our grants. The Funding Centre, under the fundingcentre.com.au. Sport and Recreation, and then under their funding section. Vic Health, state government grants, Sports Oz, the federal government grants, and local government grants as well. So check your local government organisation website in your municipality, and they should allow you to go to what grant is updated. There are often endless various businesses who also make available grants, so clubs need to look outside of the normal sports grants. One on Water's one, Alcoa, any of your banks will have community grants. They don't have to be just for the community. Your sports club is the community. Resource recovery and recycling. Victorian government grant programs, Visit Victoria, Creative Victoria, tourism demand driver infrastructure programs, Grants Link is also another one that you need to look at. Remember just one thing, you need to be prepared to invest your time and effort into your grant application. Obviously, we've listed some of the main resources to remain informed with current grants. Sign up to our e-news as we have obtained grant information applicable to our sports clubs. You say, what types of activities can I apply for within that grant? The projects and activities may include infrastructure development, redevelopments, strategic planning for your club. That's your strat planning, your business planning, and your events planning. That's very helpful. You can also look at events, travel, equipment and uniforms for your club, and your websites. That's your websites, your social media platforms. Maybe your clubs can also look around at projects around upskilling of current and new members, inclusion, and female participation. Most clubs say, we want new facilities, but the reality is that not everyone is getting to that level of funding. This level will require a stakeholder relationship with your facilities owner, i.e. your local government. So have a think as to why this grant has been made available to the clubs, and then we need to align it with the grant funders' criteria. And finally, what is one take-home message that you've learnt today? Please feel free to let us know. During COVID-19, our team have been working hard in regards to obtaining some information for our clubs within our municipalities. South West Port has set up initiatives and resources to assist clubs during COVID-19, including our virtual listening post, which is a one-on-one support. This is a bookable session with a one-on-one support with a staff member. We've also set up a dedicated email for all club inquiries while staff work remotely. It is COVID-19, COVID-19 at southwestsport.com.au. COVID-19 information page has been set up for all the relevant information on COVID-19, frequently asked for clubs, example financials. We're also looking at online webinars, and we're also, our team at South West Port, are putting together more webinars just like today's session. Please feel free to fill in our expression of interest survey on our web, or feel free to ask for some more helpful links following the conclusion of this webinar. We've also set up templates and resources for clubs to utilise. We recently uploaded a financial flowchart for clubs to assist in their planning going forward. We've also uploaded a Staying Active portal, a compilation of local and broader sport and recreation-based activities. I'm happy to email you any of the links necessary. Contact us at South West Sport, as we're working remotely, but we're still available on www.southwestsport.com.au, or our email address on covid19@southwestsport.com.au. I'd like to thank the viewers who have watched the webinar today, and hopefully you've got something out of this. I thank you.